welcome to the Warren Cycling Podcast. My name is Dean Warren. I'm in Santiago, Chile today.
Well, it's chilly here in Asheville, North Carolina, but I'm not there. This is Randy. I forget how we introduce ourselves. Randy Warren.
Yeah, this is just the 311th time that we've done this introduction. 311th, yeah.
Do we say our last names? How do we do this?
Yeah, the Warren Cycling Podcast. It's two Warren brothers from Michigan, and we talk about what's going on in bicycle racing, what's going on in general with cycling. And our focus, episode 311, now is on the National Championships of Cyclocross that just took place in the U.S. in Hartford. Also, a World Cup cyclocross race in Dublin, first one on Irish soil. And that's basically the big news of the racing going on. There's, I saw there were some 6 days, maybe a Ghent 6 day coming up, but I don't ever see any news of the 6 day races popping up on our news feeds. And then just some road transfer, possible rumor news of a signing to talk about as well. Yeah,
and USA Cycling also released a limited schedule for the 2023 National Championships for the year too. So
which events are they holding back, and which ones did they release?
Well, I'm interested in the gravel nationals, and that one they didn't have a place or time of year. And then Masters Road, they say it's going to go back to Augusta in the fall, but that's it. All they say is the fall. So they didn't release that one too. And then they also, I think, don't have endurance mountain bike and gravity mountain bike. So there's a few things they haven't. So
if those are goals for a cyclist, especially you as a cycling coach, right, that wants to help plan out, now's the time you're planning out the training and getting your athlete ready for the coming year, right? So yeah, it makes it a little difficult, doesn't it?
Yep, race calendars and things like that too. So especially if you're a gravel racer, which I've got quite a few gravel racers, and they just say, coming soon for date and location. And so, yeah, it makes it really hard. So I just met with an athlete this morning, actually. We talked about it, and we're like, well, depending upon when it falls, They also don't have collegiate mountain bike. Let's see, that's it. Yeah, that's it too. So,
but the collegiate mountain bike, they pretty much are going to have it in the fall, right? That's not going to change too much.
Yeah, actually, they have dates. They just don't have nowhere. They say October 12th through 15th.
Yeah, well, that's better at least for some. I mean,
they don't know where though. Yeah. In Masters Road, it says fall of 2023 in Augusta, so we know it's going to be in Augusta. But what's fall mean?
That's kind of late.
Yeah, the latest I've ever seen Masters, I think, is Labor Day weekend. So I don't know if it happened much after that. So they must be doing meteorological fall, not astrological fall. so beginning of September starts meteorological fall, and so maybe that's because I can't imagine it being in October.
I would think Masters racing for the I don't know how big a Masters group of racers are that have families with kids at home, which would be more difficult to travel. Maybe not when the kids are out of school, if that's a factor at all. But
it is a factor. I brought it up many times, and because I was on the Masters Road Committee, or on the road committee, as a Masters representative, and so for a little while they were having it in May or in the first week of September. So it was overlapping with school.
Yeah.
In 2 different days. And so I said, that's fine once in a while to have it do overlap because, there are a lot of Masters that don't have kids in school and stuff too. But there are some that do. And so we should at least sometimes have it in the summer. And so the last 2 years, it's been in Albuquerque in August. And the year before that was in Colorado Springs in July, I think. So that was the only year maybe it actually fell into when they announced several years ago it was going to have legacy dates. It was always going to be in the last 2 weeks of July. I think they had it one time, and then now it hasn't been in that then now. So it makes it a little hard to plan still, but at least we have a general idea. And then a type of course too. So like the athlete I was talking to this morning doesn't like to race at altitude or with big long climbs. And Augusta is going to be relatively low altitude and it's rolly climbs, so small climbs, not dead flat but small climbs. And knowing it's in fall means you're not going to have to deal probably with the heat because in Augusta sometimes in the past it's been really hot and there's been cramping issues. I mean, I think
it can get really hot there, yeah.
Yeah, I think I lined up one time. It was over 100 degrees at the start line, so it has been really hot. But other ones they have, like gravity mountain bike and endurance mountain bike, they just say mid-July. So there's some things.
Yeah.
But we knew already for Pro Road it was going to be in Knoxville the third week of June. That was already there. And then some things make sense. And Collegiate Road is going to Albuquerque. I think for the next 2 years, and that's early, May 5th through 7th. In Albuquerque held Masters Road the last couple of years, so they're
Albuquerque's
getting to be
delivering, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the Knoxville.
Well, I was saying some athletes are interested in esports too. I had a fellow coach I was talking to on Monday, and we were wondering when esports were.
Where are they going to hold esports nationals?
In your own Paints Cave, yeah. So, but they know February 11th and 12th. So, and I was planning a recon trip for my gravel camp that weekend. So I'm gonna have to bump that up a weekend. I think do the first week of February instead because I needed to defend my 60+ crown.
Well, that calendar is pretty important then for athletes. To know what they're going to target and how they're going to plan their training then, isn't it?
Yeah. Rock Hill is going to hold Masters track too, August 8th through 13th. And I think I'm going to be doing a gravel race in Montana that weekend though. So it makes me think though, it's so close.
Montana.
It's called
that'll be a big trip.
The last great race. Yeah. We were thinking about going to see Glacier. Yeah. As a family vacation.
Glacier National Park is beautiful. Beautiful national park.
Yeah. Yeah, so we're going to go to the race probably first. I was thinking either way we could do I probably shouldn't go to Glacier before the race and then do the race. Not always because it'd probably be hard to ride. But this, so we're going to probably go there. And then Kerry Matthew, haven't seen me do, I don't think, a gravel race. Yeah, before.
Are gravel races fan-friendly necessarily, though? They do usually bigger loops, right? Yeah.
Yeah, there's no reason for them to come. So, actually, it's funny because Belgian Waffle Ride happened and Taylor did it this last year.
Right.
And then Taylor's mom was there too. And so she invited Carrie to come. Hey, come and watch the race with me. And Carrie's like, no.
No place to watch it.
Because, it's just a start-finish. That's it. No laps, nothing,
Can't drive out and get up on the climb or anything like that either if it's in the woods or on a road that you can't access anyway because the race is going on there. There's no.
Yeah, you could probably do some of the. There's spots if you were really.
San Diego.
Motivated.
I wonder if San Diego has.
I'm sure you could.
It seems like there's probably more. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's the last. It's funny because it's sometimes it's referred to as the last best race, but this is the last best ride. It's August 4th through the 6th. So Whitefish, Montana. Yeah.
Oh, nice. That'll be beautiful there.
So some dark riders are gonna. They think about spending the week out there, and it's a race that you can get into.
Downtown Asheville Racing Club.
Downtown Asheville Racing Club. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So we're gonna get a house or something and hang out there, and then probably do that race, and then go for vacation. So anyway, that would run into, So if I really wanted to do track nationals, I'd have to do the vacation beforehand, do the race, then come back, and could be back in time for track nationals. But I think that would probably hurt the race by doing sightseeing the week beforehand. So
sure. All right. Well, it's all very interesting, but I think maybe our listeners are more intent to listen to us talk about the National Cyclocross Championships in Hartford, which we talked about the weather not going to be so severe, and it turned out that snowstorm did come in. I saw an article later in the week saying that it might be affecting the race, and sure enough, on Sunday afternoon, light snow started falling during the elite women's race, and then heavy snow for the men's elite race. And wow, what a race that turned out to be! The last of the national championships was tightly contested between Eric Bruner and Curtis White. And Curtis White pulled out his first national championship win. What a big win for him after being second at least three times on elite, and then another race times. He's been second, I think, not in the elite race, but
I think 5 times overall. Yeah, 3 times
chasing that elusive race. Which there seems like in cycling, there's so many redemption stories or stories where riders are close and have things that happen to them, and then that one time they get the big win, and it's such a relief and excitement for them.
Yeah, he had great pictures too. I think the Velo News had the better picture than Cycling News. Really, the intensity of his celebration, and it was an interesting race too. I mean, neither one of us saw it live, right, or saw it on video, but reading the reports, it sounded like it was back and forth. The start was kind of hectic, and and Lance Aida, right?
He was out for
whole
at
shot.
first,
and he
got
won
past in the pits.
but he won the
went,
collegiate
right,
race earlier,
right.
and he's for Cal Poly Slow. So my graduate school alma mater and the team I coached for 9 years, and so yeah, it was great. He rides for Legion normally on the road, so I think actually he rode for Legion too for cross too, right?
Yes, yeah,
yeah. So, but he's a good rider for sure, and he was 5th, I think, in the elite race too. So had a strong.
He must have had a little bit longer pit exchange because he got passed by Funston and Bruner and White, and it turned out to be Eric Bruner and Curtis White in the front battling it until Bruner kind of pulled away with 3 or 4 laps into the race, and Eric Bruner he's a defending national champion, has been winning a lot of races this year and seemed like maybe the strongest overall, but he has had some crashes too where he pushes it maybe a little bit hard, and Curtis just hung around close enough by, and sure enough, Eric made a mistake, had a crash, and White was able to get ahead and win that elusive national championship.
Yeah, huge win for him for sure, and it's nice when there's not like a dominating figure too, and it's up for grabs. And then
it's much more exciting,
yeah. And Kerry Warner, who really wasn't in the picture, I'm not sure when he came in the picture, but ended up in the 3rd spot in the podium too. So
sure, consistency pays off in cyclocross, doesn't it?
Yeah, definily. Yeah, if you can, and it sounds like people, Curtis White was quoted as saying that he knew that they'd both, they both make mistakes. Just it was a matter of when and how bad they were. And so I think that people pretty much knew that it was a course that was not going to be ridden cleanly by anybody. And so you just kind of had to minimize your mistakes, especially as the course deteriorated, throughout the day.
Yeah, and it was that off camber section where he really hit out well towards the end, where he was kind of saving that skill set that he was using to keep him close to be able to pass Bruner when he did make a mistake. So it paid off.
I wonder if he was running that off camber before, and then it sounded like maybe he only rode it just that last lap.
Yeah, it probably worth watching that video. And cyclocross racing, fortunately, is not a huge investment of time. It's almost like a trainer ride watch, right?
Oh yeah. I've definitely done a lot of active recovery rides watching cross races.
Yeah. All right. Well, we pretty confidently and safely predicted on the women's side, Clara Honsinger. Now, it's their third year in a row.
Third year in a row. Yeah.
So
yeah.
It's got a long way to go to match Katie Compton's dominance, but she's definitely seems to be heads above the rest of the women cyclocross racers. And so she started out a little slow. She said she had a cold and had been racing the last couple of weeks as much. So she was in Europe for a short time, came back, and then got ready for nationals. But she pulled away. Now the U.S. defending champion again.
Yeah, it just shows too. I mean, if you can have a cold the week before a race and still race well, it shows you're the class of the field. Really, that you even something can throw you off a little bit. That sometimes if you're just on the edge of being, that the best person, and then you get something going wrong, usually that'll knock you out. But she's certainly the class of the field.
That's right. She's our best hope in Europe too to do well, and she was consistently placing in the bottom half of the top 10 of a lot of World Cup and other super prestige races. So hopefully she'll continue a forward trajectory and get back to racing over in Europe, and at least have one American in the top 10 on the men's and women's side, because she's our best hope, right? Isn't she, for a podium in a women's race? Although, man, those Dutch women, especially those young ones, I don't know how you're going to crack those. If we can already segue to the World Cup that just happened in Dublin, where they had a really mud fest first World Cup cyclocross race in Ireland, and it was Femme, which has been Puck and Femme, the two Dutch women battling each other. Van Empel getting the win again after she was winning a lot right at the beginning of the season, and then Puck Pieterse got a couple wins, and Sharon Van Anrooy and even Marianne Vos got a win in there. But, Femme came back out on top again. Yeah,
the women's definitely switching more week to week, and the men a little bit more now, too, in terms of, when they got Matteo van der Poel now, and Wout Van Aert has joined in, and Pidcock came in a couple weeks earlier. So it's, it's not the same every week, which is good to see, too. And the course plays a difference, and what their schedule plays a little bit more of a difference, too, in terms of who's targeting what races and who's going to just do what races. Because like you said, Matteo Van der Poel's in a team camp right now, right?
Yeah, they just got the list out of the official World Tour teams, and Alpecin, is it Alpecin Dukenek now?
Yeah.
Alpecin Dukenek now a World Tour team, which they raced like a World Tour team last couple of years anyway. Team training camp in Spain, so he was in nice balmy Spain doing training while he watched the Mudfest there in Ireland.
Yeah, but I'm guessing he probably would have preferred to be in Ireland though. But he's doesn't shy away. He's only from sand. He's the best, I think, in the sand. But I don't think he minds a really muddy course as well too. I think he loves cross, but there's only so much. You really just can't
it's not paying the bills, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Although I think he probably could have a decent living in being a Belgian racing cross, but he's and a lot of those guys are. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of Belgians who are doing just only primarily cross, and but he's definitely has the talent on the road and even mountain bike, although probably not going to do as many mountain bike races after his Olympic experience.
Probably
but,
not.
But so he's I'm sure he's one of the highest paid cyclists in the world.
Right. Well, without him racing in Ireland, Wout Van Aert, who just came back, and he was already second the weekend before, and to Theo Van der Poel, but a distant second, I think, over a minute back. He had some obstacles to overcome. I think he crashed into a pole early on, and then in the pits, a rag got caught in his chain and jammed him up, and he was able to get back, and he lost I think they said 17 to 18 seconds, and he had to chase back, but he's got the power to do that, and he took the win there. And I saw the picture of him. I think it was on Velo News. He's holding a rag over his head, and it looked like on the podium. I thought, oh man, that's a really strange trophy, but no, he was just showing the rag that delayed him a little bit, but I think
it's in Cycling Tips in their article.
Cycling Tips, So it's setting up for a battle between the top three. With Pitcock was he was like third in that race.
Third.
Lawrence Wick was second, and Lawrence Wick is now leading the World Cup after Eli Isbert had stormed out like he seems to in the early races, building up a nice lead in the World Cup racing. But Eli was fifth in the race. But we got the Christmas week coming up where there's lots of cyclocross racing. It's going to be exciting, and I think Pitcock, Van Aert, and Van der Poel will all be racing together in multiple races in that week, so it'll be a fun time to watch the top cyclocross men.
I wonder who all from America is going to go over, because a lot of times the Americans like to be over there for that week, even though it's tough with the holidays, because they get lots of racing in a pretty short period of time. Because not all those races are World Cups too, so it's like even if you can't get into one or you can't get into another one, you can get into more, and so you're going to get to race a lot if you go over there then.
Yeah, it seemed like there was a different series. But not the cross trophy. What is that? That one I have to look it up here. Not the Super Prestige, not a World Cup, but then there was a different.
Did something. You see that? There was one that was like a couple initials. That was, and that one lasts beyond.
Well, there was an XO2. But this was a different one. Yeah. So anyway, here I'm looking at Cyclocross Magazine's website. It says Van Aert does not throw in the towel.
Playing on that one,
yeah. So, what's that? You said firstcycling.com? That's another website that just found that it's got nice results. Oh, I just pulled it up here. And across the top you've got road, junior, amateur, cyclocross, mountain bike, track, fantasy. So it covers everything.
Yeah.
And I think it'll pull up here all the races coming up. Yeah. This weekend, 10 races on Saturday, 20 races on Sunday. All right. Well, we can talk more about another time when I pull up whatever that other series is, because they'll be racing it around the Christmas time.
Yeah, my guess is that there's probably, people are probably fighting for dates in that time period, because they know they'll get a huge crowd. And my understanding is in Belgium and the Netherlands, too, it's like this is super exciting for them to have all the races. It's not like it's
Yeah, well, people
Christmas
are on break
times
too. Yeah.
yeah. So they're not like disappointing. It's Christmas time. Let's not race bikes. Let's spend time with family. No, it's like let's go race bikes, watching as a family or something like that. So it's just part of the culture. It's part of the Christmas season. It's part of what they do this time of year. Instead of being one more thing added into the mix, it's one of the main things in the mix.
Sure. Yeah. It's I don't know. I guess we play. I mean, we don't play. We watch football games around the holidays, college and professional, and basketball. Like they play on Christmas. NBA plays even on Thanksgiving we had have always had American football games to watch too. So it's not unusual, I guess, to have big sporting events right on holidays.
No, it's gotten more and more so too. It used to be, they wouldn't have very much of that, but yeah, it's happened for sure more. So I was looking to see. I think I remember this year that the Masters World Championships too for cyclocross is different. I was gonna look it up real quick and see. Sorry.
Well, yeah, we went back though to a December cyclocross for national championship because it's not in line with the European schedule because they have theirs in early January, right?
Yeah, yep, and that's what we used to have it like that too. For a little while, we're trying to get our athletes maybe a little bit more prepared for, doing well at World Championships. But it's tough because if they're in Europe, then they come back for our national championships and then go back over to Europe for Worlds. It makes it kind of tough.
Yeah,
sure. But they So I just look at Masters is going to be in England, East Suffolk, Great Britain for the Masters. So it's still a bit different, and it's going to be on
like a European Masters Championship or
no, the Masters World Championship.
Oh, World Championship. So, okay.
Yeah, it actually already happened. I didn't notice that. It was Friday the 2nd, January the 3rd, and Sunday the 4th of December was the Masters World. So we had it here in America on the Louisville courses before the World Championships. It was later into the year. So that's a pretty big divergence to have the World Championships that much differently than the Elite World Championships, which I guess happens to other disciplines too.
All right. Well, since we're talking about that different series, I was able to pull up. It's called Exact Cross. So I don't know if that's what kind of series that is. There's two Exact Cross Mole on December 23rd, and then you have Exact Cross Loonhart on December 30th. So they're a week apart. But these are the dates, confirmed dates that Van der Poel, Van Aert, and Pidcock will be racing. December 23rd, the Exact Cross Mole. Then 26th, they have World Cup Gaveri, which I put my picture behind me here. My back wallpaper is from a Gaveri race that I was at in Belgium some years ago. But it wasn't a World Cup. I think it was a Super Prestige back then, maybe. But anyway, the World Cup will be there. It was a very muddy course. When I saw everybody approaching the course, going there with these mud boots, I thought, I'm in trouble. I don't have any mud boots on my feet. It's going to be messy. So, and then December 27th and 28th are Super Prestige Zolder and Degen. And so you got 26, 27, 28, 3 days in a row with big races. And then Exact Cross Loonhart on the 30th. So within that short time span, you got 5 races that's confirmed for Van der Poel, Van Aert, and Pidcock. So,
wow.
Yeah, it can be pretty exciting.
That's the good thing about cyclocross too. It's not that long of a race, so it's an hour of super hard all-out effort. But you can come back and race the next day. Although a lot of times people even do 2 races in the same day here in America, like if you do a Masters and Elite race or something like that. So yeah, it is a hard effort, but it's something definitely you can recover from and do it again the next day.
Right, or you could go for a run and run fast right after the race. Right? Like, I don't think we talked about that. We saw you sent me an email about Van der Poel running 4-minute
kilometers.
It made it sound like 4-minute miles. Now it was a 4-minute climb. It was fast though, running fast right after the race. So, you put running programs in most of your athletes too, don't you, in the off season, just to change up
one of the options they can do. Yeah, so I think sometimes people can do some more off season stuff too, and not just always do cycling, but impact bearing is important too. So running, if you can do that, it's good because it does have some kind of impact. So it can be bad in terms of you could hurt yourself, but also it can help toughen up some of those joints and ligaments and tendons and things like that too. And just, our bones need to be under stress too to be strong. And so, especially if you're just a road racer, if you're gravel or mountain bike, you get more of that impact. But if you're just on the road or track, you don't get as much of that. And running can help in that way.
Yeah, I've found out too that both you and I were runners actually before we were cyclists.
Yeah.
So we started running 10Ks, half marathons, even marathons in my late teens, your early 20s, right? And then my knees were bothering me. That didn't seem to like all that running, so I started cycling more, and then you picked up cycling as well. And then we have run some in the years over time, but I found all the cycling has really helped build my knees up pretty good. If I limit my running to maybe once, maximum twice a week, that my knees are okay. So
yeah, I used to run some
nice.
in the fall, and I could get them in almost maybe 3 months of running before my knees would give me trouble, and then I'd have to stop after that point.
Yeah, well. So we've got the cyclocross, not much now on the track going on, or mountain biking, or BMX, or road. So the road news, though, is like that we were mentioning a little bit about the confirmation of the World Tour teams and the demotion of Israel Premier Tech and Lotto. They got a new name, Dynasty or something? They have a new sponsor, but they're still gonna probably get into a lot of the big races and carry on. And not disappear like maybe some teams if they had been relegated away from World Tour status to not be around. So that maybe worked out well for have the teams that did get relegated to be ones that could still carry on.
Yeah, and it's a 3-year cycle too, so it's a pretty significant commitment. It's not like you just carry on for one more year, maybe they get back. They won't reevaluate, I think, until 3 more years.
Oh, really? I thought each year there was going to be a relegation and a promotion like they do in the soccer.
I think it's 3 years. Yeah. Or I know the points they have is over a 3-year cycle, so
right.
Maybe that's the difference. But I thought
each year they'll look at the points. I guess we should know this kind of stuff, huh? We talk about cycling, what's going on, but yeah, it was actually pretty confusing, I think, for a lot of teams, just how the points and everything worked, because we saw teams scrambling for points and going to races that maybe they wouldn't go to, and really a lot of focus, and also trying to get riders to score points instead of maybe not race it, maybe for big wins somewhere else where they're just trying to get, points.
People go to they couldn't go to the World Championships, some of them, because it was all the way in Australia, and that took them away from racing other things that were going to get points too. So yeah, it was people were scrambling for sure at the end.
Right. Well, they got 18 teams now set for next year, and we'll see. But the most intriguing news that I saw was that Mark Cavendish possibly is going to race for Human Powered Health next year, which I can't believe it could happen, because they have such a long shot to get into the Tour, and the Tour de France is really his main focus, to try to break the record of stage wins. He's tied with Eddie Merckx and get that 35th stage win at the Tour. So Human Powered Health, if they would somehow get him, it would be just amazing, I guess. And if they could get in the Tour, that would be even more amazing. But we'll see. I guess Peter Koenig, is that who he has a podcast that said he was confirmed, signed Cavendish, but he hasn't revealed.
Signed with somebody, yeah.
Signed with somebody, but he hasn't confirmed who. So that'll be the next big news. But Cavendish definitely wants to still racing. He's, oh man, how old is he going to be? 38.
37. He turns 38.
38 in the race season, which a lot of racers have retired by then. But he showed just 2 years ago how fast he still is. So
yeah, it's interesting because Fabio Jacobsen only won one stage last year, right. Yeah, and Cavendish won four. Yeah, year four. So it's the race is different, and last year did made sprint finishes and stuff too. But he definitely can still compete, and he won a stage of the Giro last year, so he's still at that level. And so it would be huge for Human Powered Health if he was with them and motivated, because an unmotivated Cavendish is not a very good racer. So he doesn't win a lot if he's not motivated. But if he's motivated, he could.
Yeah, but he needs a good setup too, I think. I mean, a lot of his wins were when he had super lead-out men too, I think. Think?
Yeah. But I think it would be huge for Human Powered Health if he was on the team, because he would definitely get them into some races that maybe they wouldn't have gotten into otherwise, and it would force them. I mean, they're a good team for sure. They have a good squad and stuff. So it forced them to up their game in terms of how to be competitive at those races that he would get
They
into.
definitely have a more focused
Yeah, for
race.
any.
When you have a world class sprinter to finish off races, you're going to probably target as many races as you can to finish in a sprint.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then also too, sometimes if you get into a smaller stage race that has, a week-long stage race that has some sprint stages too, that may be more prestigious as well. So, and then the team could do well. Other riders could shine in the mountains or other things too. So it'd open up a lot of opportunities. But yeah, the chances of human-powered health getting into the tour seems pretty remote at this point.
Yeah, very remote. So yeah,
I can see
I would be surprised. I don't know.
Yeah. Maybe like into the Volta or something like that. Maybe. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe for Tour de Suisse for sure. They get in Tour de Suisse every year. So
but that's not Cavendish's goal, so I don't know. Well,
yeah.
we'll find out. I saw something about Filippo Ganna wanting to target the Paris-Roubaix race. So
Yeah, I saw that too.
yeah.
He's got the power
Wow.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
So.
I mean, does he have the handling skills? Probably not quite the same as Matteo Van der Poel or Wout Van Aert, but he's he's.
I wouldn't let him go.
No,
I wouldn't let him get up the road for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Definitely, even if he wasn't, ending up winning that race, he'd be a factor in it one way or another.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's a little bit of a lottery, Paris-Roubaix, with the mechanical problems riders can sometimes have. So, but yeah, it would be definitely be someone they'd have their eye on. So, well, we are December 14th, 2022, and like I said before, at the beginning of episode 311 of the Warren Cycling Podcast. So I don't know, you have much more to go. We want to hit our birthday list, which I don't think it's going to take too long time today.
Not a lot of big names on it today, is there?
No, not what we have. So on the 14th, top of the list, the most PCS, that's the Pro Cycling Stats points, where they'll show stats of points where, and I don't know what their system is exactly where they rank points, but it's not the same as the UCI points. But
they go deeper for sure.
They get more, but she's got almost the double of the next place rider. But Rochelle Gilmore, 41 today, and Allison Jackson, a racer from Canada who's still racing, is 34. But Rochelle Gilmore on top, and she amassed her points with a lot of podium finishes. Let's say seconds and thirds, World Cup Australia, Hamilton World Cup seconds. But she did win the Geelong World Cup in 2005.
Oh,
so like a lot of racing looks like in Australia, the Chongming Island World Cup race in China, and then some races in Europe as well, in Germany, where she scored some good points. Not wins, but podiums definitely.
It's also another Allison's birthday too, Allison Powers.
Yeah, I saw that. Allison Powers, yeah. Happy birthday, Allison.
So she's a two-time national champion in the individual time trial in 2008 and 2014, and she was 8th at the Worlds in the World Championships then in 14 one of the years. Yeah, excellent. So she's definitely a quality racer, raced for both Team Tipco and United Healthcare.
Yeah, it's unusual not to see on the list like any World Tour rider that I recognize that are active. Actually, hardly any active racers in the top 40. Most of them are retired. So December 14th, an odd day where not so many were. Some days we get some really high profile racers celebrating their birthday on the same day. And not that many Americans either. We like to pull out the different Americans. Travis Troxtel, 33 today. Mark Southard, 62. So he's some of the you could have raced against sometime.
Yeah, he was a good time trialist. He raced for Spago. Yeah, that was a team sponsor. Wolfgang Puck's team based out of L.A., and that's where Jeff Evenpool went from when he left El Levante. He raced for Team Spago after he won the Junior World Championships.
All right. Well, I just refreshed again because sometimes we can pull up different names, and I don't see anyone else. All right. Well, it's the Christmas holiday time coming up. I think we'll be able to get maybe one more podcast in before Christmas. Let's hope so. But we enjoy talking all the time about what's going on and catching up with the cycling news and think that's it for the day. So thanks, Randy. Thanks for getting together and talk. And hope you guys have a great holiday time. Thanks, listeners, for listening to us.
Yep. Thanks, Dean.
All right. Bye now.